Okay.
Today I'm here to talk about a fundamental topic to our industry, our workforce. If you look at the reality over the next few decades, the good news is that our industry is growing at least 5% a year. So the number of residents, or this blue line, is increasing 5% a year. But relative to that, the number of employees we need is exponential. And the reason is because as we age, we need more and more help. So we need more employees as our baby boomers of today become 100 years old. So what that means is we have a massive shortage that we're looking at over the next few decades. In fact, the massive shortage, if you quantify it, comes to about 10 million. We need 10 million more employees in our industry. Definitely a challenge, but I see this as an opportunity. Let me introduce you to my best employee when I was Associate Executive Director at a 1,000-person retirement community. No, not the guy on the left. He only showed up once a year to work. This is Faye on the right. Faye White is her name, and she is your dream employee. She was my dream employee. You know, the person who shows up on time every day, the person who, despite half your staff having called out because of the snow, she still manages to get to work. And she's the person that residents ask for by name because she cares about them so much, is so friendly, and bends over backwards to meet their needs, all while juggling everything else on her job. She was our dream employee and, in fact, is still at Green Spring Village. And she's also our oldest employee. She, like any proper woman, will not tell you how old she is, but I can tell you she is well past age 65. She's been at Green Spring for 15 years. So it got me thinking, and especially as I reflected on my story. This is a picture of my grandfather and me. This is in the back is a picture of the noodle shop. It was one of a few noodle shops that he owned and ran. And if you can imagine, you know, he did this for about 40 years of his career. It was backbreaking work. I remember watching him lug hot pots of water around, be rolling out noodles and stretching them. He would be carrying big trays of piping hot noodles around serving the customers. And by the way, this is very much like dining services in our industry. You know, the customers want more, better, faster, nicer. And my grandfather loved it. He worked at this until he was about 85 years old. What I realized in this is, reflecting on my grandfather's life, is that he could do this and would do this, in fact did until he was quite old, because he loved it. And that's the opportunity we have in front of us as an industry, which is, as forward-thinking members of this industry, and this is because you're here today, the question came to me, how can we design our workplaces to be suited for a 100-year-old worker? Now, I know I'm seeing some shocked looks around here, and let's get past that. I don't want to work at 100, frankly, some people would want to. And how do we make that possible for them? How do we design our workplaces in that way? There are many things, but one of them would be that we want to make the work physically possible for an older worker. The second is that we need to make sure that people feel purpose and impact in what they do. Like my grandfather, that they love what they do. And the third is, can we get creative? Can we split up work? Why is it we have to work 8-hour shifts? Could we do 2 4-hour shifts? Or have 2 people working one role? There are lots of things that we can do, many ways that we can address this challenge. So my question here today, and I'd love to talk about, is how do we design work for a 100-year-old? So let's take this to reality, that question, and look how we might do that. So here we have many of the departments that I think probably all of us have in our communities, anywhere from dining, housekeeping to nursing and security. And let's just, we can talk about any of these, but today let's double click on nursing and see how can we achieve universal design in our workplace in nursing. So the first is making it physically possible. If you look at the tasks that nurses do, there are 500 plus tasks that I culled from all the job descriptions of the communities that I have. And here are 8 examples, from transfers, eardrops, assessments, to listening and communicating with families. So of just this example of 8, 3 of them are physically backbreaking. How do we solve for that? How do we make it physically more possible for someone to do these tasks? Well, let's take ourselves and put ourselves into another industry that I think is really interesting, shipbuilding. So let's look at what's going on in shipbuilding today. And as you're watching this, who here has seen Iron Man? Iron Man? Okay, yeah, really great movie, huh? That Iron Man suit, that Iron Man suit is becoming a reality in shipbuilding. As you're watching the Iron Man suit at work, think about how we might apply this to our industry.
Exoskeleton suits aim to revolutionize many aspects of our lives. Workers on a shipyard in Akapodong, South Korea have superhuman strength thanks to a new robotic suit. Daewoo Shipbuilding, where hydraulic joints and electric motors are connected to a backpack that powers and controls the system. Eventually, the developers want people wearing the suit to be able to lift 200 pounds, which will increase productivity by allowing workers to easily lift large, heavy pieces of metal.
Isn't that interesting? So let's take this back to our industry. The question is, for these 3 tasks that are physically laborious, what is our Iron Man suit 2.0 to make these tasks more physically possible? In other words, what is our Hoyer lift 2.0? By the way, Hoyer lifts, when they're used, there's a 2-year ROI because of decreased workman's comp, decreased lawsuits, and greater safety. What is our Hoyer suit 2.0? Shipbuilding is doing this now. What can our industry do in the next 10 years? It's really remarkable as we think about the opportunity. And by the way, as we talked about earlier, the other activities within nursing, all ages can do. So then, all ages can do, but they would want to show up for work, like Faye and my grandfather wanted to show up with work. So as the forward-thinking members of this industry, how can we create purpose and culture more poignantly in our workplace? And for that, let's look at another industry. The airline industry is very much like our industry, a service industry. There is maintenance, there is serving the residents or customers. Let's look at Southwest Airlines. Who's flown Southwest? Okay, Virgin. Their employees seem pretty happy, right? Compare that to your experience flying American or United. You find that employees really want to work at Southwest, they really want to work at Virgin. So let's take a peek look at the way their management looks at purpose and culture. And for that, let's look at the safety video for Virgin America. And I think you'll get a sense.
I got some safety tips that you gotta know. And trust me, it's something that you want to hear.
So with that, 15 seconds, you get a pretty good sense of what the Virgin culture is. It's somewhere fun to work, it's hip, and as customers, they get that experience too. Southwest culture, by the way, is known to be fun, and in one of their interviews, they asked in their interview process, they asked the question, what's the most embarrassing thing that you've ever done or has happened to you? That's their sense of culture. What is ours? And I forget what my transition is here, but and then the third point, in terms of how do we create universal design for a 100-year-old worker, is let's get creative and let's look at how we might be able to split up work. In this example, there are so many companies, you've probably gotten a sense that co-CEOs are becoming more and more popular. It's a very tough job, just like many of the jobs in our industry. It's a very tough job So you have co-CEOs at Workday, co-CEOs at Deutsche Bank, co-CEOs at Oracle. I mean, the list goes on of companies. Can we have co-CNAs? There are all sorts of questions we can ask if we think about how to design work for a 100-year-old worker. And what does that get us by 2025? Well, I've been doing this project for a couple communities and who need to grow the number of employees. And what we're finding is that we get better applicants, we get higher retention among current employees, and we get alternative pools of employees. In our example, older employees, but also how about working moms or retired nurses? There are all sorts of ways we can get great employees. And if we do this across all of our communities as an industry, we'll fill that 10 million shortage that we talked about. It's a great opportunity, and it can be done. I want to leave you with the story of Cece. She's a nurse working at a hospital today in Oregon. This is a picture of her showing up for work after her 90th birthday. And as you can tell, I mean, she's just so surprised. Why are people celebrating me? She really doesn't understand, you know, she's just showing up for work. People have loved her. She's worked at this hospital, as you can imagine, a long time, and as you can see, she's really made a difference on her coworkers, on her patients. So while she is not able to do surgeries in the operating room at 90, like she was able to 20 years ago, she still makes sure that the operating room is set up, that her patients are comfortable, that the checklist is complete. She is there for patient safety, and she is there for her other coworkers. Her name is Cece, by the way. It's her nickname. It's because she's so naturally curious about how she can do things. She says, see how you can do that? And just in the way that Cece does this, figures it out, I feel like there's an opportunity for us as an industry to figure out this challenge or this opportunity ahead of us. I'd love to talk more about this, and so I will leave some infographics up here. You can reach me here. Thank you so much for your time today.